Good evening and welcome to another episode of Self, God, and Money. I am your host, Benir Pierre, abundance, intuition, and monetization strategist, and it is a pleasure to have you here with me. If you are tuning in for the first time, please be sure to go ahead and subscribe and turn on those post notifications so that you get an alert every single time we go live. And if you are here with us again, please drop a note in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from. Today, we are having a very important conversation that I realize is probably going to get me in a lot of trouble with the spiritual community. All week, I've been talking about pain, and I realize that there are a lot of my spiritual colleagues who believe that we can think our way past pain, that we can heal our way into a space where we never experience pain again. And the truth is, I see it very differently. But what I do know is that pain is actually not as bad as we make it out to be. So today I want to just have a real and raw discussion about some of the pain that we have endured in 2020, some ways to alchemize it, and some of my favorite tools for using pain for power. Hey there, Jalen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you are watching, go ahead, leave some love in the comments. I absolutely love chatting back with you. This is a conversation. So let's talk. So, pain. Oh, goodness. If we look at 2020, this is a year to remember. For many of us, this year has been completely unprecedented between quarantine and losing loved ones from COVID 19 and jobs, everything that has been going on this year. A lot of people have referred to it as a dumpster fire. And while I know that there have been a lot of great things that have happened this year has actually been one of our most abundant years in business. I've brought on an entire team and we have made such tremendous moves. I have grown closer to my loved ones. Getting ready to get married. So many great things. But there's also been some pain. And I think that is the beautiful thing about life is that it's never black or white. Life is all about the duality. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about that duality. So I want to hear from you. What have been some of your highest points in 2020? What are you grateful for this year? I know for myself, I truly am grateful for the slowdown. An alternate title that I was playing with for this episode was The Shit That No Longer Matters. 2020 has been the year that has shown me what really matters in my life and what doesn't matter as much as I thought it did. And relationships, connections, really being present with friends and family, that is what has mattered the most to me this year. And I know a number of you can relate. But today we're talking about pain. So, with all of the amazing things that I am grateful for, pain is actually one of those things as well. Hey there, Dondre. Hey, Monique. Yes, I'm so grateful for ease and calm. This has been a year to sit with yourself. So many people have gotten into this space of being a human doing. And this year has been all about the ease and the peace of simply being. And so, for those who have met yourself, maybe for the first time this year, congratulations. But again, we are talking about some of the pain of 2020. And with all of the things that I have to celebrate, pain is one of those things. Um, this year, in addition to having a number of family members, loved ones who have been sick, we have also lost a number of people. And I recognize that for many who share that same story, it has been very hard to process and to mourn it. Because everyone is hurting and it's almost feeling like you don't have space to express the hurt that you have experienced. And so I just want to take a moment to give you an opportunity, in addition to what your high moment has been for 2020. If you feel comfortable sharing, please also share some things that have been difficult for you. As I stated, we lost some loved ones. And so I really want to dedicate this episode to my Uncle Alex, to my friend Paris, to our producer Mike, and all of those who have lost loved ones, all of those who have experienced some type of hurt this year. I recently did a post talking about how your oil costs. Your oil is not free. And I got so much backlash in my inbox about that post because there were a lot of folks who felt that through techniques like theta healing, we should be able to bypass pain and we can reframe what pain is, or we can reframe our experience so that we no longer endure pain. And I want to call BS on that one. What I know is that pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice, but pain is something that we will all experience as long as you are here in this physical reality, in this physical body. It doesn't matter how much of a spiritual being you are, pain is inevitable. If you stub your toe, I guarantee no amount of theta healing is going to stop that pain. But there is a way that we can reframe the pain, because again, suffering is the part that we have choice on. So suffering is choosing to see that pain as something that is something that can't be healed, right? I see that Jalen experienced some financial growing pain, some pain and insecurity, pain and managing emotions. Honey, preach. That emotional management for 2020 has been out of this world. And so when we talk about the inevitability of pain, but the choice that we have in seeing it as suffering, this is about really reframing it. I talked about how there's duality in all things. And so it really is necessary to recognize that nothing is ever good or bad. I love what Monique just said. If you don't experience pain, then how can you actually heal physically or spiritually? How can you know that you have healed? I know that pain for me has been a tremendous catalyst. There's no way that I could work with the power that I have had I not grown through some of these lessons. And so pain and discomfort for many really is a catalyst for growth. Pain and discomfort drives action. So how do we reframe it? The first thing is to recognize that just because it's painful doesn't mean that it's bad. I think we often paint this picture that things that are uncomfortable are inherently bad. And this isn't about bad or good. The truth is that pain simply is. And if we look at the things that we both have to mourn as well as celebrate in that pain, there is tremendous opportunity for personal growth. And we know that for purpose-driven leaders, personal growth, personal development is business development. Personal development means that you are in that much more of a position to support those you have been called to. So for those who have mentioned some of the pain you've experienced, I would like to know from you, what do you celebrate in that pain? What has that pain provided for you? So I want to take just a moment. I thank you, Sebastian. Sebastian says, I'm thankful for the pain. It showed me my strength and true aim. Absolutely. I want to share with you my thank you letter to pain. And this is actually one that I wrote about 5 years ago, and rereading it, it absolutely rings true for me even today. So, dear pain, thank you for the lessons that you have taught me and for being a constant catalyst to my growth. Thank you for the subtle reminders that I need to move from my comfort zone to grow into the person I'm destined to be. Your presence has been the greatest gift in my life. And God knows pain has come in the form of abuse, harsh words, disrespect, internal shame, internal judgment, abandonment from others, and abandonment of myself. But through that pain, I was able to realize my power. Through pain, I recognized my strength. For years, I tried to push you out of my life, but I now know that you only came to help me. Thank you for providing the obstacles I needed to step upon to reach my highest dreams. Those obstacles became my stepping stone. Thank you for the scars that created the patchwork of my soul's greatness. Thank you for the hurt that allowed me to appreciate how wonderful true love feels. You meant it for my destruction, but it turned out to be the greatest blessing I could ever imagine. I forgive myself for all the times I took you for granted. Gratefully yours, a rising phoenix. And as I reread that letter, the lessons that I've grown through. Again, in the moment, it absolutely did not feel good. And I'm sure, Jalen mentioned having some financial insecurity and having some emotional management that she needed to work through. I'm sure in that moment, it did not feel good. But the wonderful thing is that when we are able to, I love that. Jalen says, my pain led me to my total purpose. When we are able to recognize pain for the gift that it is, the gift that pushes us out of our comfort zone, as Monique just said, it really allows us to transform and transmute that energy. Again, pain is not a bad thing. It's inevitable. But the choice that you have is what you do with that pain. And so I encourage you, for any of you who have experienced pain this year, most of you who are here reading with us, I see Pastor Elise. I see Jalen, who is an amazing coach. I see Monique, who is an amazing self-care coach. I see Sebastian, who is an incredible friend, producer, brand manager. You are all in positions of leadership where you can show others the way through their pain. I don't believe that pain, number one, gets to stay for free. You know, I'm about monetizing thine life. And so if I'm going to monetize anything, I'm absolutely monetizing this pain. But it's not for us. And I think it's actually kind of selfish when we experience the pain and we don't show up on the other side of that to help others who may still be in it. And so I really encourage you to look at how can you share from a place that is beyond theory, beyond concept, beyond religion and dogma, but truly from a place of healing. And we can only heal if we have gone through the experience. And so I really encourage you to look at your personal story. I was sharing with a colleague this week about my experience with suicide. Many of you know that I attempted suicide 3 times before I was 21 years old. I cut myself for 15 years from the age of 10. And a lot of times when I look at that, it seems like it was a lifetime ago. But the truth is that it's that pain that now allows me to show up so powerfully for the leaders in my life. I'm able to speak not only from a place of empathy and compassion, but from a place of experience, from a place of wisdom. And so I encourage you to look at the wisdom, that your own pain has provided for your life. So I promised you that I would share some ways for those who are still in the pain. You would not believe how many healers, how many therapists, how many coaches have reached out to me recently, sharing that this year they've considered taking their own life, sharing that this year they have felt so alone. Because for many of you, how you have used your pain, you hired a coach, you hired a counselor. So for the leaders, where do we go with our pain? And so the number one tool that I use for really working through pain is to get support. I am so grateful for the coaches, therapists, and pastors that have been instrumental this year. We did premarital counseling with Pastor Elise, who is on this broadcast, and I highly suggest anyone who is looking to get married to definitely reach out to her. But being able to have a space where you can go and have someone not only who understands, but who can hold space for you as a leader. Because many of you know that as a leader, it hits real different when you're going through something. Not everybody can handle the weight of your pain. And so I encourage you to really reach out and get support from someone who understands, someone who has wisdom, and someone who is able to help you reframe and guide you through it. Outside of getting external support, some things that have been tremendously helpful for me. Hey there, Lisa. Some things that have been tremendously helpful for me this year definitely has been a lot of introspection. And so that introspection has taken place through meditation, through journaling. And I recently discovered that I am quite the artist. I don't know if, real artists would say that because I can barely draw a stick figure. But coloring and painting have been a really powerful way that I've been transmuting pain. In my Inner Circle Mastermind, one thing that we do is art therapy and art journaling. It is a really tremendous form of meditation. And so it doesn't matter if you are Picasso, I encourage you to pull out your canvas and just allow yourself to paint your emotions. In a little bit, I'll share with you a ritual that I've been using that is so incredible and it works really fast. And so if you have any art supplies, this is a really great time for you to start some arts and crafts. Another thing that has been tremendously helpful for me in reframing pain and working through it has been to connect with my ancestors. I recognize that connecting with my ancestors is connecting with myself. I love what Shalina just said. Not everyone can handle the weight of your pain. I can resonate with this a lot. When you expect people to understand, you're setting yourself up for disappointment and more pain. And I just want to add on to that expectation is the root of pain. And so in sharing your story, right, and sharing and asking for support, this has nothing to do with how it's received. This is all about you. Your vulnerability is all about you. I recently watched a Red Table Talk with Brene Brown, and she shared about shame and vulnerability, which of course is her zone of genius. And thank you, August. August says stick figures are all right. I promise the stick figures will help you. But she was sharing about shame and vulnerability. And one of the questions asked was, how do you share when people are not used to you being the one who needs help? How do you share when everyone is looking to you as the pillar of strength? And the truth is that it's never about them. It's never about the response. The healing comes simply through you being vulnerable enough to share. Sharing is not always going to feel easy, especially if there are people in your story who may have had actions that they are not proud of. To be quite honest with you, my vulnerability has come at a cost. I've had to deal with some discomfort in my family as a result of me sharing honestly. But the truth is that if me sharing means that one person can heal, I am doing myself and my calling a disservice not to share. And so sharing is the number one way, really, to transmute that, recognizing the power in it. But art therapy, again, is one of my most fun ways to transmute pain. So here is a very simple ritual that you can do that is a good way to really start to understand and work through what you're going through, which I would say, I said that sharing in vulnerability is the number one. I guess the number one thing really would actually be being honest with yourself. Stop bypassing shit. The truth is that no matter how spiritual you are, no matter how close to God you are, no matter how many times you meditate in a day and how often you pray and read the Bible, you cannot bypass the realities of life. It doesn't have to be suffering, but it is inevitable that you will go through some discomfort. And so, really allow yourself to process what's going on. And so this ritual that I do is one way that I process. So I love scents. If you have been following me for any length of time, you know that I absolutely love my candles. I love my manifestation oils. And we actually just got a whole new supply. So make sure that you head over to the store and grab those after this broadcast. But I generally like to set up a space that instantly shifts my energy. And so, one way that I have found is great for that is through scent, is through shifting what I see. So, I surround myself with beauty. I absolutely love art. And so, I simply surround myself with beautiful art. Sometimes I'll go to the beach now that we are here in California. But even if you can't get to a beach or you don't have beautiful art around you, simply allowing yourself to go to a space that you have created. You can't really see around my office, but I have an altar over here. I have an altar behind me. And so it was important for me to set up my office in a way that is beautiful for me. So that's the first thing is change what you see with your eyes. Secondly, change what you smell. So in this case, I have a number of manifestation oils, a number of manifestation candles. The one that has been a lifesaver for me is my Peace and Protection candle and oil. It's a white sage lavender mix that instantly shifts your mood. And if you're having any trouble sleeping, definitely a godsend. Uh, the next thing will be change what you hear. So I put on some amazing music. I love African tribal music. I love praise and worship. I love meditation music. But anything that you love that changes your energy works. This is about finding what works for you. I have so many rituals that I do with clients, and we're actually getting ready to do a ritual ceremony at the end of the year. But what I always tell you is any of these things I give are simply suggestion. And so find what works for you. There is no right or wrong way. So we're changing what we see, we're changing what we hear, we're changing what we smell. If it works for you, change what you feel. Put on something that is so yummy and soft. I love soft fabrics. I have some favorite blankets around. And so, really create a space that is comfortable for you. One thing that I actually encourage my clients to do is to create a self-care box. And this is a box that is filled with all of your favorite things. And I'll actually leave a note in the comments after this broadcast and share what I have in my box. And I put it in the closet or under the bed for those times when I don't feel like thinking about how to love on myself. Because 2020 has shown us that the normal going to get your hair done, going to get your nails done, going to get a massage, that's not always going to be available. And so we have to have ways that are easily accessible to instantly shift our energy. And so part of my self care box is actually a letter to myself. It's a reminder of how resilient and strong I am. It's a reminder of the beauty that pain has to offer. So once I have all of my atmosphere set, I have my scents going, I have my music going, then again, painting is it for me. And I've shared some of my paintings. I promise they don't look anything, more than a kindergartner probably could do, but it's the experience. And I've actually found that for myself, because I can be a bit of a perfectionist, just a little bit, it's actually great that I'm using painting because it's so imperfect. It's so messy. You just have to get in there and do it. And so on your blank canvas, I encourage you to write out your affirmation, write what you are desiring to create through this painting experience. Sometimes for me, that looks like a manifestation intention. Sometimes it is simply one word of how I desire to feel. And then once you have that written, you have your music going, you have your candles and your oils on, paint to your heart's desire. It is a tremendous way to transmute the pain. And one of my favorite scriptures is the reminder that God will give us beauty for ashes. But we have to be willing to exchange those ashes. And so the ashes for me are the intention. The ashes for me are what I'm writing that I want to release. And then when you paint over it, even if it looks like a kindergartner did it, you now have your beauty. And you now have a reminder that your pain has purpose. And so, for every leader that is watching this broadcast, for every leader who has been going through some type of hardship this year, I encourage you that this is not the end. This is not the end of your story. I believe that things always work out in the end. And if it hasn't worked out, it's not the end. Reframe the pain, find the purpose in the pain. And in that, share authentically. Now, one final thing that I do want to leave you with is I recognize that vulnerability does require safety and that it's not always easy to share with our audience. It's not always easy to share with those who may look up to us to have the answers. And so I encourage you that if you need a safe place to share, please reach out to me. Reach out to my team. We will listen without judgment. We will hold space and help fix your crown and get you back into position. Next week, I am so excited that I will be sharing with you an invitation to join me for a special ritual to end your year. So be sure to tune back in next week, 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific. And if you have not, please go ahead and subscribe, and share this with a friend. As always, it is a pleasure to have you here with me. If you've gotten anything out of this video, please leave a comment and tell me about how you are transmuting your pain and using this for your purpose. And I will see you back here, same time, same place, next week. Be blessed.